Okay, I'm Peter Lavery. I'm the head coach of Cruisin MMA Team Rhino in Belfast. We'll elaborate more on that as we go along. We're just documenting the end of an era for us at the Frames Complex in Belfast. We're about to move off in a few weeks into our new facility. We've been here maybe 10 or 12 years that I can recall. Starting off on a Sunday afternoon for an hour, moving to a Sunday and a Wednesday for an hour each night, and then to what it is now, 7 days a week, twice a day, Thai classes, BJJ classes, MMA classes. You know, it's got a wee bit mental. We'll give you a bit of history on what we were. We started off as a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu class under Taijutsu Kai. I was a second degree black belt under Ross and Akara. We started training formally in BJJ around 1998, 99 I think. A few of us, we sort of shared ideas. There's a few well-known guys now. John Kavanagh, Andy Ryan, Dave Jones, friends of mine then and friends of mine now. There was no real high grades in the country. If you knew someone who was a blue belt, it was like you knew a wizard. They were very rarely spotted. So we all trained together. We all came up through the ranks. John progressed a lot further, a lot faster than the rest of us. And when we started training in BJJ properly, all of us, myself, Andy, a few others were all members of SBG. John gave me my blue belt in 2005. Andy already was a blue belt then, and everything was grand. We split from SBG around 2008, I think, late 2007, 2008. And we joined Revolution. Andy introduced me to Rodrigo, and the progression continued with Revolution then till this day. Rodrigo gave me my black belt 2015. So as I said, we've been around for a long time, and where we are now is with the size of the team now. We have like facilities in Craigavon, we have them in Ballycastle, Ballymoney. We have outlets in Derry with Evolve. We have outlets in Coleraine under Causeway, Combatives. We have a new outlet now in Macrofelt, if I'm right. So it's getting bigger under Jason, so it's getting bigger as we go along. This place, however, has always been the headquarters in the north. You know, we've now taken on a bit more formally as we got bigger, and our affiliation with Andy got a bit closer. So we've taken on the Team Rhino Belfast. It's not that Cruisin has stopped or Cruisin has faded. Basically what we do is we just sort of cemented our friendship and our affiliation with Team Rhino in Dublin. So along with the Red Devil badges that you see around here, we'll be putting the Rhino badge on our patches, on our gis and our fight wear. So that's pretty much it as we are from conception to where we are in Belfast now. A bit of background on my own training. I don't like really talking about myself, to be fair, but I'll give you a bit. I started training when I was 9 years old in judo with the Ogmon Club, which was in St Augustine's High School, under Eugene McKenna, who was the coach. Brutal days. You know, I used to finish At primary school, I wouldn't let my kids do it. No, used to finish off in primary school and go across to the secondary school, wait till they got out, go around to the gym, help the guys put the mats out, and then we went at it sort of old school, learned how to break fall really, really well in those classes. I learned what was illegal in judo, but I really enjoyed it, and I would love to have the time to go back to it. You never know, maybe as we go along. I did that for quite a while. I enjoyed it. It was different times. My kit, my eldest sisters had to get me. I was like 9 years old. My sisters bought me the kit and paid insurance and stuff for me when I was for birthdays and that sort of idea. And as I said, I really enjoyed it. I got back into Japanese Jiu-Jitsu around 1990, 89, 90. I started back into Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Bushi Kempo. Made some great friends, great training partners, Stephen Sweeney, Tom McRae. Really, really great guys to train with. We used to pound each other, man. It was crazy. Way before the days of health and safety. And I received my black belt in Kempo Jiu-Jitsu, I think it was around 1996. I started again from white belt under Taijutsu Kai, under Ross and Akaro. And it's crazy now that I meet up with a lot of guys when I'm traveling around refereeing, judging, high level guys who all came through that and they all trained with Ross, and that connection is there. Ross gave me my second degree black belt, I think it was 2003. At that stage we had already started on the BJJ journey. Ross introduced me to Carly Gracie, I think around 98, 99, and that's what sparked my interest, and I started into BJJ then. My club was still, we were successful. We weren't mad successful the way we are now. We aren't as big as what we are now. And what we did was, I spoke to the guys. I always speak to my senior students because it's not just me that runs this team. The guys, the students are the people that keep me coming here. And I spoke to them and asked, look, do we want, because some of the guys were like purple belts and brown belts and stuff in traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. And I said to them, look, if we're going to go into BJJ, everyone has to give their grades up. Myself, I have second degree black belt. We have to give our grades up. Start at white belt, all of us, and we'll do this properly. They all agreed, the senior guys. So we did. So everyone just took off the belts that they had, and we started again from white. Myself and John McTasney. John's been with me from like day one when we trained at Maysfield, when I opened my first school. And the two of us got our blue belt on the same day under John. And then we progressed together. I'm glad to say John's with me now. He's a brown belt. He's going to, hopefully I'll see him with his black belt on really, really soon. But no, the guys that I'm very lucky to have some guys that have been with me from the very, very beginning, and they're still here now. Some of my kids grew up with us. My daughter Rachel, I gave her her blue belt. Been trying to get Connor onto the mat. He's more football, and the twins, they're young ladies now. They have their own lives. I never pushed any of them into it, but they grew up around this. We used to go to the cage, all the early MMA shows. I think I had my first professional MMA fight 99, 2000 ish. That was proper sort of Valley Tudo as it was billed then. Guys like Lee Hasdell, the guys who started MMA in this country, Paddy Mooney, Tom Lamont, Johnny Burrows. these are the guys that I have the utmost respect for still to these days. They're good friends of mine. If it wasn't for them, I don't care what people say. MMA now is a different thing to what it was then. A lot of the guys, John Kavanagh, Andy Burrows, remember them having their first fight in Maysfield Leisure Centre on mats. It wasn't even in a cage. Organised. Lee Hasdell was over. That's a name that if you're into MMA long time, you'll know Lee Hasdell today. He came over and refereed the first trials. A lot of the guys who were on the mat that day, there's very few of them that are actually even training now. I can think of David Patterson, Graham Keys, Paul McVeigh, who now is in Glasgow with the Dinky Ninjas. Great fighter. They were all on the mats those days. Jordan McAllister. As I said, very, very few of them are actually still training now, let alone involved in MMA. Then it was, you sort of got matched up on the day, you did your thing. None of us really had a clue, to be honest. We were all sort of learning at the same time, off videos and books, and sometimes guys would arrive in the country. Francisco Bueno was here, a few others would have arrived, taking seminars, and we tried to pick up off them. And as I said, now the difference is, the first cage, Paddy Mooney brought the first cage under Cage Wars, as was Paddy's first cage, I think, was in Portsmouth of all places. First cage in the UK, they brought it in, Cage Warriors. Then Paddy split and formed Cage Wars, and I think the first show, if I'm right, was in Galway of all places. It was, I think, the only place that would allow the cage in Ireland. And you had like Dave Jones fighting on that, John Kavanagh fought on that, I think Andy fought on that, a few guys from the north. And then it progressed to the Ultimate Fight Nights in the Europa Hotel and in the Devonish, as was.
What year would that have been?
That would have been, I think the first one that we went to was in the Greenan. The Balmoral is now, as it is now, the Greenan Lodge as was then. And that would have been 2003, I think. 0203, around then. And Rodney Moore, Emmett McNally, Aidan Marin, Phil Scollard, Greg Loughran. These are the guys that have come to me, Andy Ryan, who were all actually on the card that day. We progressed to the Europa Hotel. Then Cage Warriors sort of died off a bit, and Davy Patterson started the UFR nights. Great nights that we had. Again, a lot of people were blooded then on those things. And again, it was people sitting down, organising a set of rules that we could all sort of adhere to. You would never have thought that whenever we were doing like the Ramble Inn or the Green Inn, as I say, or the Balmoral as it is now, that we would have progressed to the like of the Odyssey Arena 4, the UFC was here, there. You wouldn't have definitely thought that any of the guys from this country would have ended up on the UFC. I went from refereeing in community centres to judging the last UFC. I've been lucky to travel around with them. And now you have IMAF, who are looking after our amateurs. We've introduced more stringent safety and medical exams. The South, under the Andy and John and some of the guys, have brought in brain scans for amateurs, which is the right thing to do. I think an annual MRI is fine. In the North, we haven't. We're talking about it at the minute. We're under safe MMA. And all our professionals, we've fighters in this gym, amateurs right through to professional fighters. They're all medically tested, they're all sanctioned. But we also have guys that have no interest in fighting or competing. They come down here. We've got guys from 17 years old through to grandfathers.
as was just pointed out to me, we have a couple of guys who have grandkids. They have no interest in fighting. They're here, they want to do BJJ, they want to get a bit fit, it's a social aspect. We like to promote the social aspect, you know, of the gym. We like guys to come in and feel at home and feel welcome at what they do. Some of my closest friends now train here, you know, and they're people that I've known, as I said, for a long time. People come and go, which is a shame. You know, there's a few people that aren't here now that I wish were, you know, and maybe, you never know, maybe they'll come back through the door again at some stage. You know, we don't hold grudges, you know. Once a member of the team, I like to think you're always a member of the team. So, yeah, hopefully we'll go on, hopefully we'll bring that success into the new venture, you know, and continue on. Hopefully I'll be able to pass it on to somebody soon, that they can take over and hopefully keep the Cujin sort of spirit going.
Books and any.
Whenever we started training, there was no internet. You know, there was no social media. What we did was you learned from like Grappling magazine. You don't even get Grappling magazine anymore, I don't think. I have like a library of them, and you would buy videos and you know, people would send you stuff, articles and books and magazines. Until there was no coach as such. Like John, which was admirable, John Kavanagh, Andy Ryan, myself, we're all pretty much self-taught at the very, very beginning. You know, from books and magazines. Different now. You know, I think I have more blue belts in my gym now than there was in the entire country whenever we all sort of were promoted. A purple belt was unheard of, and a black belt was a thing of fantasy. Nobody knew a black belt. You know, now Revolution Team Rhino that we're affiliated to, I think we have 10, including myself. 10 black belts. That's crazy. You know, you'd never have thought of that. I think SBG have 6 or 7, maybe more. Revolution as a whole have maybe 15, 16. You know, it's crazy the way things have progressed now. You know, but it shows that it doesn't take as long for people now. Now people are getting blue belt maybe 2 years. As I said, whenever I started, it took like 5 or 6, maybe actually it took 7 for me to get black belt or blue belt. You know, from beginning to actually get in the grid. People can do it now. 18 months, 2 years. I've seen people do it less than that, you know. And it's great. It's great because now the guys doing BJJ in Belfast. Belfast has really maybe 4 teams that you would look at. Gracie Barra were the first. Gracie Barra were the first proper BJJ team. I remember Graham and Alan, Johnny in Maysfield, and they were the first team that I can say in the entire country. And that's Dublin included, that's the South included. I would say they were the first. And you know, now you have Gracie Barra, you have an SBG outlet in Belfast, you have Revolution, you have Torres. I think that's pretty much it. But before, you would have had one, you know, and they're all doing really, really well. You know, they've got they've got good numbers. Everyone's successful. If anything, what kind of annoys me, I'm kind of lucky that I get on with all the teams. I don't think I've had a fallout with anybody, and they're welcome to train at my place. You know, I don't sort of close my doors to them. I don't like the way sort of politics kind of, shall we say, has crept into it. You know, you don't train with that team because you train with this team, and you can't train here because of here. You know, maybe I'm old school. I like that back in the day, you used to be able to walk into anyone. I train with Davey, train with Tom Lamont, train with Graham, train with, you know, there was nothing to stop us doing it, and it was good fun, and it was good crack. You know, maybe one day
Do you think if BJJ was made an Olympic sport, there'd be a lot more cross training?
I think it should do. I think the problem with it in the Olympics is that, well, at the time, going back, there was a lack of black belts in every country. Now we have enough black belts. It's national federations. We're lucky we're members of in the north we have the UK BJJ, who are going to be the national governing body for BJJ in the UK, which will give us national federation status, and hopefully we'll be able to look towards the Commonwealth Games, that sort of idea. But not all countries have a national federation, and that's one of the things. Judo have national federations, boxing has national federations, for combat sport, taekwondo, karate, all have national federations. Until that happens, I don't think we'll go into the Olympics.
Like if it was a national sport, you'd probably find more cross training because people want to train for their country, and that sort of thing about teams is left behind. Maybe
I think it would have to be the same as where judo is. Judo it does have different teams, different clubs, but in the interest of the national team, the Irish team, then they all get together. Say boxing all have different clubs, but in the interest of the national team, then they all get together, and they have the elite level guys that train, and it's funded and all that sort of idea. BJJ and MMA in Ireland, in the UK, is self-funded. We don't have grants, and we don't have things. Under IMAF, hopefully, and Danny Cord and the guys on the council are doing a great job implementing that safety and proper coaching facilities, and schools have to have proper insurance and all that sort of idea. Safety. It's up to those guys are doing a fantastic job, and I can see amateur MMA. Actually, I could probably see amateur MMA going into the Olympics before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Because now all the countries are having national federations under IMAF.